When the mind becomes quiet, you see everything more clearly. Buddhist wisdom. Think about the hour that just passed. How many moments were you truly present? How many times did your attention drift to something not actually happening? Tomorrow's conversation, last week's mistake, a fear about something that may never occur. Your body was here, but your mind was somewhere else, lost in its own storm. This happens to all of us, more than we'd like to admit. What creates this storm? Why can't your mind just be still? The Buddha identified 3 fires burning constantly in your mind, whether you notice them or not. These aren't abstract concepts, they're operating right now, in this very moment, shaping everything you see and experience. First is craving, that constant voice of, I want this, I need that, if only I could have. Your mind becomes like a string pulled too tight, always reaching for something that isn't here. You feel it when scrolling through your phone, looking for something you can't name. There's that subtle restlessness saying, this moment isn't enough. Even in pleasant moments, there's an undercurrent asking, how do I keep this? How do I make it stay? Second is aversion, the burning sensation of, I don't accept this. They must change. This shouldn't be happening. Someone speaks in a certain tone, and instantly, before you even understand what they're saying, your mind hardens into defense or attack. The present moment becomes an enemy to fight. Everything that doesn't match your preferences becomes a problem to solve or resist. Third is delusion, the deepest fire and the one you notice least. It means not seeing things as they are. You're walking through thick fog where everything becomes distorted by assumption, conditioning, past experience, and projected fear. The fog is so thick, you don't even know it's there. You think you're seeing reality, but you're seeing through layers of interpretation. These 3 fires don't burn separately. They feed each other. Craving creates aversion when you don't get what you want. Aversion creates more craving for relief. And delusion keeps you from seeing that you're caught in this cycle at all. The storm perpetuates itself, moment after moment, year after year. From the Dhammapada, if with an impure mind a person speaks or acts, suffering follows him like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox. When your mind burns with these 3 fires, suffering is inevitable, not as punishment, simply cause and effect. But what does this suffering actually look like in your daily life? This is what living with a noisy mind looks like, responding not to what's actually here, but to the storm inside you. You see disrespect that must be corrected, instead of a stressed person in front of you. You argue with people who aren't saying what you think they're saying. You suffer from events that haven't happened. You miss the beauty right here because your mind projects old wounds onto new moments, turning every interaction into a battle with ghosts from your past. You can spend your whole life this way, making every important decision from inside this storm, never knowing there was another way to see. But there is another way. When people hear quiet mind, they imagine a blank screen. No thoughts, no feelings, nothing. They think the goal is deleting mental activity. And when they can't, which of course they can't, they think they're failing. This is a profound misunderstanding. In the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha describes what we're actually aiming for. One dwells contemplating the body as a body, ardent, fully aware, and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. Notice the phrase, fully aware, not empty, not blank, completely, vividly, brilliantly awake. The word is sampajanya, clear comprehension, consciousness at its most lucid, most alive. A quiet mind is not a dead mind. It's a mind that has stopped being disturbed by its own functioning. Right now, a thought arises. I should have said something different in that conversation. Immediately you're pulled into a story. I sounded stupid. They probably think I'm incompetent. I always mess up these moments. One thought becomes 10, becomes 100, becomes a spiral. But imagine this. The thought arises. I should have said something different. And you simply see it. Like noticing a bird flying past. The thought is there. You're aware. But you're not pulled in. You don't become it. There's a space between the arising and your reaction. This is different from suppression. You're not pushing the thought away, not telling yourself, don't think about that. Suppression is still engagement. You're fighting with the thought, which gives it more power. What we're talking about is something else entirely. Seeing the thought without engaging with it, without feeding it with your attention and belief. The Buddha compares mindfulness to a gatekeeper who knows who enters and leaves the city gates, not blocking, not grasping, simply knowing. Thoughts come and the gatekeeper sees them. Feelings arise and the gatekeeper knows them. Nothing disturbs the fundamental stillness. Later Buddhist traditions used another image, the mind like a mirror. A mirror reflects everything, your face, the room, whatever passes. The mirror's surface is always changing with what appears in it. A beautiful face appears, and the mirror shows it, but doesn't become beautiful. An ugly face appears, and the mirror shows it, but doesn't become ugly. The reflection comes, is seen, then goes. The mirror remains clear, still, ready. Your mind can be like this. Not empty, but spacious. Not blank, but clear. Not dead, but vibrantly alive to everything without being disturbed by anything. Watch yourself in traffic. Someone cuts you off. Your hands grip the steering wheel, jaw clenches, heat floods your chest. For most people, that's it. They become the anger, spend the next 10 minutes replaying it, imagining what they should have said, building a whole story about people these days. But what if you could feel that heat in your chest, notice your jaw clenching, see the thoughts forming, and simply observe it? Not suppress it, not pretend you're not angry, just see, anger is here. The sensation is present, the thoughts are present, but you're not lost in them. You're the space where anger temporarily appears, like a wave in an ocean. This is what's possible. Not becoming emotionless, but finding the stillness already underneath all the noise. The stillness that lets you feel everything without being destroyed by anything. And when you find this stillness, you start seeing truths that were always there but invisible through the storm. When your mind becomes quiet, you begin to see what a noisy mind cannot see. Nothing is fixed. Everything is flowing, changing, dissolving, arising, passing, always, in every moment. The Buddha called this anicca, impermanence. But that word doesn't capture the raw directness of what you see when you watch it happen in real time. Watch anger. When your mind is churning, anger feels solid. I am angry. A state with weight and permanence that you identify with, act from, and become. But when your mind is quiet enough to observe, you see something different. First, there's tightness in your chest, just a physical sensation, and then thoughts form to feed it. That wasn't fair. They shouldn't have. The thoughts intensify the sensation. The sensation triggers more thoughts, And the feedback loop builds until the anger peaks at that moment when you might say something you'll regret. Then, if you just keep watching without engaging, it starts to dissolve. The energy dissipates, thoughts lose their charge, physical sensation softens and fades, and what's left is just tiredness, just the quiet that was there all along. The whole cycle from arising to peak to dissolution takes minutes, and it passes because it always passes. Anger isn't a thing you are, but a process that happens, peaks, and dissolves, like a wave rising and falling. When you see this directly, everything changes, because if anger is just a temporary arising that will pass on its own, why believe it? Why act from it? Why identify with it? And it's not just anger, it's everything. Your joy will fade, your sadness will lift, and your thoughts, moods, sensations, circumstances, relationships, and your body itself are all flowing and changing, never the same moment to moment. You can't make anything stay because staying is impossible. And this is why you suffer, not because life is hard, but because you're trying to make permanent what is inherently impermanent. Reality never cooperates. But when you see impermanence directly, grasping naturally releases. Not because you should stop grasping, but because you see there's nothing to grasp. Your hands open, and in that opening, there's freedom. You also see something else. Nothing arises by itself. The Buddha called it paticca samuppada, dependent origination, and he described it simply. When this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this ceases, that ceases. When your mind churns, you see things as separate. Someone says something harsh and you think, he made me angry, as if anger appeared from nowhere. But when the mind is still, you see the whole chain. That person spoke harshly because they're carrying their own suffering, which arose from their past wounds, their childhood, their parents' wounds, going back generations, and they're caught in their own storm, acting from their own pain. Your anger didn't come from their words, but from expectations being broken. You expected to be spoken to differently, and when that expectation wasn't met, anger arose. Think about the last argument you had. Your partner forgot to do something they promised, and you got upset. But why? Because their action triggered a memory of being let down by your father, which triggered your fear of not mattering, which triggered your defensive anger, and your anger triggered their defensiveness, which came from their own childhood of being criticized, which triggered more of your anger, on and on. Nothing happens in isolation, because everyone acts from their conditions. When you see this clearly, when your mind is still enough to see the whole chain, compassion arises naturally, not because you're trying to be good, but because you see everyone is as caught in this flow as you are. This doesn't mean accepting abuse, but responding from wisdom instead of reaction, seeing what's happening and what needs to be done without the overlay of enemy or victim. Impermanence and dependent origination aren't beliefs, but direct perceptions available when the mind becomes quiet enough. Once you see them, you can't unsee them, and they change everything. But how do you actually get there? The Buddha gave us specific practices. They work because they align with how the mind actually functions. In the Anapanasati Sutta, the Buddha teaches breath meditation. Breathing in long, one understands, I breathe in long. Breathing out long, one understands, I breathe out long. Breathing in short, one understands, I breathe in short. You're not controlling your breath. You're simply noticing what's already happening. Here's what makes this profound. In that simple act of noticing, you're being present with what is, rather than lost in what was or might be. Your mind wanders. It will constantly. You notice it wandered and gently bring it back. Just, I was thinking about lunch. Now I'm here with breathing again. In that moment of return, you're creating a gap between stimulus and reaction, teaching your mind that thoughts can arise without sweeping you away, discovering the space between what happens and how you respond. 10 minutes a day. Not to achieve some special state, but to come home to this moment, to what's actually here. There's another practice. Metta, loving kindness. You offer phrases of goodwill. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Then extend it outward, to people you love, to difficult people, to all beings. This dismantles the fortress of me versus the world. You start feeling that your deepest wish is the same as everyone else's, to be free from suffering. These practices create what the Buddha called passaddhi, tranquility, ease. When the mind reaches this state, you can begin to actually see. You start with the body. Feel sensations arising and passing, tingling, pressure, tension. And you see they're not solid, but arise, peak, and fade. Then you notice feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, and the automatic craving or aversion that follows. You watch this dance creating your whole life drama. Then you watch the mind itself. When greed appears, when aversion hardens, when confusion clouds. Not judging, just seeing. Through this observation, you directly experience what we talked about. You don't just understand impermanence, you see it constantly. You don't just think about dependent origination. You watch causes creating effects, creating more causes. From the Liberation Suttas, knowing and seeing thus, one's mind is liberated from the defilements of sensuality, existence, and ignorance. Liberation happens when you see clearly. Here's what you need to understand. This is not a quick fix. A monk once asked his teacher, "How long until I'm enlightened?" The teacher smiled. Every time you see clearly, you are enlightened. Every time you're lost in delusion, you begin again. There is no until. There is only now, and now, and now. So you practice every day. Sit with your breath. Cultivate kindness. Watch what arises and passes. Slowly, the mind learns to settle. Some days will feel like progress. Some days like you're back at the beginning. This is the path. You simply keep showing up. The Dhammapada says, if with a pure mind a person speaks or acts, happiness follows him like his never-departing shadow. A pure mind, not perfect, but one that sees clearly. When you speak and act from that clarity, you respond rather than react. Life becomes workable, not perfect, but free. A quiet mind is not the destination. It's the way of walking. Seeing clearly is what you return to, moment by moment. And each time you return, there's freedom. Real freedom. Not from circumstances, but from being lost in the storm of your own mind. So begin. One breath. Just this one breath, right now. Be patient with yourself. The Buddha taught for 45 years because he knew how long it takes for the mind to settle. Be diligent, but with kindness, not harshness. The path will open itself, step by step, breath by breath. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. Here, now, beginning. May you find the stillness underneath the storm. May you see clearly what's always been here. May you walk this path with patience and courage, and keep returning to this moment. This is the way, and you're already on it.